Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And my respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, and good evening, everyone. So today is Monday, the 27th of July, 2020. This is Ajahn Sujant from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So, and everyone, hi everyone for coming and listening this online Facebook Dhamma talk and reflection. So today we have all day rain and rain in Aberdeen. Basically it's like a pouring rain after continue rain, non-stop. But it's good to have a rain after the very sunshine for some days. So I've been very busy today too, because we at the center guests on a retreat as well, and teaching online. So quite busy. My head is like heated already from using so-called overusing it. So it's overheated. But anyway, we'll come back to the topic of the discussion that we have been discussing over the few weeks now, and it's been a couple of days that I didn't continue and didn't speak on that topic, which is related to the first discourse of Buddha that we have been focusing on from the early month of this July. And recently I was talking about the third noble truth, and the recent one on that third noble truth, I was talking about the dana or the chaga, or how to let it go. And letting go, the process begins from learning to give a small bit of things, and gradually ability to let go of the entire concept of existence of a me and a mine or personality view. So today I just would like to recite the words from the sutta itself and the translation, and just we'll see how it goes for this half an hour time. Right? So in the sutta, this third noble truth, at the beginning it says, Idang kopana bhikkhave dukkha nirodhang ariya satchang yotassa yeva tanhaya asesa viraga nirodha chagopatinissako mutti analayo. And that basically means the noble truth of a cessation of a suffering is this. It is the complete extinction of that craving, which is the cause of all the sufferings that we have discussed. And I think I have explained on this tanha, the second noble truth, as the cause of a suffering around 2 weeks. And then further it says, giving it up, relinquishing it, liberating oneself from it, and detaching oneself from it. So that is the cessation. And I have explained that the cessation is also a part of the viraga, this extinction of lust, and also Nibbana, the complete freedom from all things. And here in this sutta particularly, the very beautiful word that Buddha used in the sutta is called Asesa Viraga Nirodho. Asesa Viraga Nirodha, which is, I think, is the best for understanding all that, which means no remaining trace at all exists. So that basically means there is no desire or craving remained. It's been relinquished, it's been abandoned completely, and that leads to the liberation. And now, in terms of the liberation, when after Buddha left the palace, and after Buddha left the palace at the age of 29 and spent 6 years studying with the different teachers, and then having found that those teachings are not conducive and not leading to the freedom or the attainment of a Nibbana, he went himself and practiced austerity. And after the 6 years of a great austerity and dedication and determination, at the age of 35, he was able to be enlightened. And the day when he was enlightened, he spoke a beautiful verse and always refer by many people, and that also helps us to understand that how that relinquishing happens or ends. On that day, he basically proclaimed, saying that Aneka jati sangsarang sandha visang anivishang gahakaraka gavesanto dukha jati punah punang gahakarakang dithosi punagehang nakahasi sabhate phasuka bhagga gahakutang visankitang visankhara gatang chittang tanhana khayamajaga, which means through many births, many lives, he was wondering to find out the maker or the builder. And with this, trying to find the builder, life after life, he had to reborn again and face with this suffering again and again. So in search of the builder of this home, so-called this home means this body and mind, suffering is repeatedly birthed again and again. And then finally, on the day when he was attained enlightenment, then he simply said that, "O house builder, or I have seen you, I have found you, I have understood you. You shall build no houses anymore. All the tools that you use to make this house been destroyed." And here, these tools basically means this ignorance or the craving. And visankhara gatang chittang, mind has attained this unconditioned state of and where the tanhana and kayamajjaka, all the cravings have been eliminated, abandoned. So this tanhana and kayamajjaka, the extinction of all the cravings, is the end of the suffering. And here, end of the suffering or highest attainment in Buddhism, normally in other faiths or in other religions, normally talks about the liberation or emancipation after one dies or after one leaves this body. An attainment of those emancipations or the liberations. Whereas in Buddhism, tanhana and kayamajjaka basically means the eradication or abandoning the cravings. And that craving is the attainment which we don't have to die to attain. So that's why the word Nibbana or the Nirodha here, in Buddhism there are two types of attainments, the highest attainments. One is known as Saupadisesa Nibbana, which means you have completely eradicated all the greed, hatred and delusion. You're simply living sake of this mind and body, to live without having anything in regards to the lust or in regards to the greed, but you're still alive. So that is the moment you become enlightened. So the Buddha enlightened at the age of 35, and then he attained the Nibbana, and that is known as the Saupadisesa Nibbana. Means these 5 aggregates are still there. And whereas And during this time of 45 years of a Buddha's dispensation, he was alive and going around teaching to people what he found. And then along this 45 years of his dispensation, there are hundreds and thousands of people also attained these two types of a Nibbana. The first is a liberation, and the second is the complete, the extinction. Yeah? And the second type of a Nibbana, or the ultimate attainment in Buddhism, is known as Anupadisesa Nibbana, which is basically the five aggregates being also destroyed. Okay, and with this, the second Nibbana attainment is the end of this cycle of a birth and a death. And this Nibbana, again also known as Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang. Yeah? Nibbana is the greatest happiness. And some may think that Nibbana is the greatest happiness, looks cool and sounds better, and would like to attain this happiness. And this is the state of the mind where there is no greed, hatred and delusion at all. There is no ignorance regarding the sensuality. There is no ignorance regarding the personality view and existence. And that's why it is known as Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang. And here simply because there is no condition that makes biasness, that makes differences, but simply being there as they are. It is as it is. But again, this is simply, I'm talking from the books and of what I have read, because I haven't achieved it. And it's like, I'm telling the stories from what I have read, or what I have studied, and rather than I am or I have achieved. It's like if I'm telling you about a particular place where I have been, let's say the Kathmandu Valley or the village that I was born, I am able to explain to you completely without missing any. And that doesn't mean that one who hasn't been there will comprehend that. It will take time, or even one has to travel to that village to see what it is, and may experience differently, but that village still exists there. But for those who've never been there, doesn't matter how much I try to explain, people will not understand. And so that is the sort of a state of mind, is the state of this Nibbana, that whether that exists or not. I remember a few years ago when I met my niece, one of the nieces, and then she was having this mobile phone on her hands, and I told her that when I was young, we didn't have a television, and we didn't know that this mobile phone will exist in this present moment. And then she couldn't comprehend that how people lived without having a mobile phone, without having internet, without having the TV in their houses. So she couldn't comprehend. So like that. But that doesn't mean those days weren't there. Doesn't mean that we haven't experienced it. But someone who never experienced it, they will not be able to comprehend, or they will try to compare and make sense of it on the basis of what they have seen, what they have experienced, and what they have told, and sound sensible. Yeah? So Nibbana is also something like that. It's very difficult to comprehend, yet there is a hope that if we are working on the path, it's a definite that you will be achieving that. Okay? So that's why this, in order to see that, even other different religions also claim for this some so-called this ultimate goal, which we cannot explain, but once we have attained, then we will be able to explain about it. But the difference is, you don't have to wait for that moment in order to be happy or in order to feel the taste of this Nibbana in Buddhism, because the very moment when you don't have any greed and hatred and ignorance, that is the moment. We are having this enlightenment or the Nibbana every moment of this realization, every moment of understanding. And if we can extend this understanding, this realization for a certain period or for a longer time, that is the Upadisesa Nibbana, the first category of a Nibbana. But unfortunately, because of our sensuality and because of our lust and cravings, we cannot continue that so-called realization, or in English term like deja vu, like wow, I just realized this is like that. So that's why the Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang is the ultimate happiness that we can experience even now, every moment, if we experience with no lust or no passion or no greed or hatred. So that is the moment we can feel such a wonderful joy and happiness. And if we can continue that, obviously that's last long, and that's how it's known as the ultimate happiness. And then also the Nibbana, again also known as the Sunyata, or the Nibbanang Paramang Sunyang, means the voidness. Nibbana is the ultimate voidness, and here voidness basically means the emptiness. And I remember about 7 or 8 years ago, when I was teaching meditation in one of the Western groups, there were about 17 or 18 people, and when they asked me that what is the purpose of practicing meditation, and I told them that the ultimate purpose of practice of a meditation is to attain the Nibbana. And her question was, what is Nibbana? And when I said that it is a sort of an emptiness but not emptiness, and her response was, well, if that's emptiness, then why should I meditate? And in here, her response was basically having this I self, or the myself, or this self-existence, an existence of our own self, and defining that I want to be happy, and practice of a meditation is to attain happiness, not practicing meditation to be empty. That sort of response I received at that time. But again, emptiness here in a sense that we know that everything is conditioned, created, and any condition created object or things are bound to disintegrate and dissolve. And once it's completely dissolved, then again there is nothing to be called as the substance. So that's why it is known as the voidness. And the Buddha is simply pointing at the 5 aggregates that we have, or this body or this life, and also the 6 senses, which are again conditioned arises. Condition arose, and end of the day, when there is no condition to continue, it has to end. And that's why the condition that we are continuously creating is the craving. And the very moment when we able to stop having the cravings, basically we have disconnected the condition to further continuing our lifespan. That's why it has been the debate or a discussion during the time of the Buddha as well, that in Hinduism or in Brahmanism, what happens is that there is they call a rebirth taking place again and again, and that's because the Brahma has given the so-called Atma, the mini Atma or sub-Atma, to continue rebirth again and again. So there is no stop. Continue reborn in this world of cycle of a birth and a death and experience of this suffering again and again. Whereas in Buddhism, the Nibbana is basically you are taking out the craving away and stop there. And once there is all the conditions been dissolved, and that is the state of the Nibbana, and that's what the Buddha was talking about. And the state of a Nibbana, again, Buddha said that there is no earth, there is no water, there is no fire and a wind. Neither there is a sun or the moon or the shining stars, and yet that state is so shiny, and there is no darkness, and the state of unconditioned and unborn state. So that is the Nibbana, and that Buddha spoke about, and it's a peaceful state, and that peaceful. That's why sometimes it is known as Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang and Nibbanang Paramang Sunyang, and Nibbanang as the Paramang Santi, means the peaceful, the greatest peace. And here, greatest peace is simply as I said, this all the condition or sankharas been dissolved and destroyed. And with that, the state of Nibbana will attain. And as I said, in Buddhism, the attainment of Nibbana is not that you wait until you die, but you attain while you're alive, and continue you live with that attainment until the time comes. Until the time of the so-called the lifespan and the destruction of this body comes, and at that time it's known as Anupadisesa Nibbana. So basically we are leaving this whole five aggregate to this world and going away. So that is the Nibbana that Buddha was talking. So to summarize, this third noble truth is basically the end of suffering and also the end of the craving, and this is how it is known as the Sukha. So dukkha, the first noble truth, is regarded as suffering, and which has got the cause, and that is the second noble truth. And the third noble truth is basically Sukha, and in order to attain this state of the Sukha, or in order to abandon the craving, now we need the ways, the path, and that is the fourth noble truth. And in my understanding, first noble truth, second noble truth, and third noble truth are always there, whether Buddha is born or not, whether Buddha taught it or not, because that's the natural teachings or natural principles that is there at all the time. Even the Buddha said in the Dhammaniyama Sutta as well that Uppadhava Bhikkhave Tathagatanang Anupadhava Bhikkhave. So basically, whether Buddha arise or not, these dhammas are there and will be there. All what Buddha did was uncovered it and presented to us, and how to deal with that. And the whole path to eradicate or abandon this teaching, the craving, is basically the path, and which is the fourth noble truth. So that's why my understanding is the fourth noble truth, which is known as the Eightfold Noble Path, is basically the teachings of the Buddha, and this is the basic fundamental teachings of Buddhism. And I always refer it that in Buddhism there is no problem with what is the problem, but the problem is how you deal with it. So dealing is the path, and dealing is what Buddha is suggesting, and dealing with the situation what Buddha is presenting. And all what we are doing is simply learning and learning how to use these tools to abandon the craving and attain the happiness in our lives. So from tomorrow I will be talking on the fourth noble truth, which is the eightfold noble path, and gradually we will go forward to this the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. So I end here for tonight, and thank you everyone for listening, and with this, may you be all happy, peaceful, stay safe, free from troubles in body and mind, and well, no harm come to you. And may the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. And thank you. So in a few minutes time, we will have a chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, see you and take care.